Hello. It's been a minute. I have been kind of working through this new apartment situation and kind of trying to get some stuff set up in here, and haven't necessarily found the time to make a full video, but that will be coming very soon. Yeah, I do have a plan for a video. I've got a plan for a lot of videos, but I just haven't had the time. But for today, I wanted to jump back into letsdraws. I've got some ideas that I want to share and some kind of concepts and processes that I figure would be cool to go through. And if you end up joining this live stream, feel free to chime in. If you catch this after the fact, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Also, in the last week, I've gotten almost 1,000 new subscribers, which is pretty incredible. So thank you all very much for that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I will be sharing the chat, so be kind. Yeah. And here it is. This is here. I want to move this actually like this. There we go. All right. So what I've got is a camera view of the iPad as opposed to what I did the last time, which was just screen sharing my iPad. I figured this way you'd be able to see more of kind of like the hand gestures of what I'm doing on screen. Maybe not fully, because some of it's getting cut off because of the weird angle that the second camera has to be at, but it should be all right. Hopefully you'll be able to follow along well enough. So I'm still working in the same canvas as before. Just this gigantic space that I can be working in. I've got the Waddle Dee from the last Let's Draw. And I kept my little KK slider from the thumbnail image here. But part of what I wanted to do this kind of like camera view for was to show kind of what you can do on an iPad as far as being able to utilize both the space in whatever kind of software you're using, and also be able to like have a reference image that's not in your canvas. And the reason that I personally like to have my reference off to the side as opposed to like in the art itself is because I'm tempted to just trace over it. If it's actually on my artboard, I would rather have it off to the side. So what you can do is, if you pull up from the bottom of the screen, you can take your Photos app and just kind of pull it out from the dock like so, move it over to the side and let it go, and now it takes up half of the real estate of the entire iPad screen. But there's this little dash in the middle that you can shift off to the side, and now you have your reference image and as much of your canvas as you need. I mean, you don't really need an entire 42-inch screen TV to work on. Your hand can only travel so far. And honestly, I like working a little bit tighter than larger and more spaced out, because it just helps me get a little bit more up close and detailed with it. Hello, Mr. MB. Nice to have you join. Sorry for the impromptu live stream. I was planning on trying to do this a little bit more scheduled, and then I ran out of time. So here it is. All right. So clearly I've got my PlayStation shirt on today. I want to be doing a little drawing of Astro Bot because I like Astro Bot, A, and B, because Astro Bot is kind of a simple character. Like he's got very easy shapes to kind of follow along with. This is a image from PlayStation on their website. And it's like the closest thing that I could find to what I like about Astrobot and his like render style and everything like that. But I like this pose a lot more. This pose in general, it's like a U2's toy like figurine, or like maybe like a pop figurine or something like that. But I just like the kind of shape of the pose. I like the movement of the pose. I just think it looks a lot friendlier than this one, where his like hips are like jetting forward. It just seems kind of weird to me. But there are a lot of things about this render that I do like. And it also has kind of clear representations of what Astrobot looks like. So what I want to do, and hopefully this may help some of you when it comes to like drawing and thinking about like what you want to do, is I'm going to take elements from both of these and kind of combine them to make an image that I want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with my sketching. I'm going to go to my 6B pencil because it's the one that I feel the most comfortable with. I like having like a decent size to start out with, even if I'm on like the smaller side. It's just easier to get things like really roughed in when you have a larger size pencil to be working with. So what I'm going to do is just really... Oops. I don't know what this is. Stop it. Do I have to restart? Procreate does this thing every once in a while where it just messes up everything. And decides to do its own little thing. So there's that. Let's go back. I'm still on my pencil. Okay. Procreate. Oh, it's doing it again. What are you doing? Stop it. I'm trying to draw here. What is this? Every time I put down the pencil, it just brings up this menu. I don't want this menu. What if I delete these? Okay, well, I guess I don't get to have those. No, I want them. I'm going back. I'm just gonna flatten them. Flatten. I don't know what that group thing is. All right. Oh, you know what it was? Is I didn't have an empty layer set up. You know, we all learn. We're all learning along the way. Art isn't something that you just get to do. It's like you're constantly learning and practicing. So bear with me. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sketched out very roughly. So he's got this like nice swoop in his like motion, like the motion of his pose is doing this kind of nice curve, and his arms are doing kind of a nice swoopy curve like this as well. A little hand, other arm, other hand. And his legs also kind of have Just this nice like curve to him. Give him a little upper leg, a little lower leg, a little upper leg, a little lower leg. And for his cape, so one of the things that I don't like about this figurine of him is the cape looks kind of weird. Like, it doesn't look like the cape in his official like render. So I kind of want to do a little bit of a mixture between the two of them. Like, I don't like that this is like a Superman cape or like a Batman cape. Like, it's so long and big. He's got, this one almost looks more like a scarf in a way. Like, it's a lot more narrow. And I like the motion that is going through it. So I want to take kind of these like swoops that are already there and find something that just kind of goes in between them. Like that. And it's going to have more of that kind of narrow look. And I also kind of want to try to mimic this, like, it almost looks like a transparent, plexi, like a soft plexi or something. Another thing that I like more about this is the shape of his head and the shape of his like little faceplate. It looks, I don't know, maybe too much like an old CRT television here. Whereas here, it's got more of kind of a modern, elongated look. So I'm going to do some slight adjustments to this and start adding in that little face area. Again, just really, really, really rough. Like, I don't want this to be my final look. This is just getting the rough idea down. His little eyes, placement, the little ball on his helmet. And I think that's a really good start. As far as just really, really, really getting down the kind of like general idea. Now with Procreate, what's really nice is for each layer, you can go into the layer menu by there's multiple things that you can tap on. So if you tap on the layer itself, there are all these tools that you can utilize. But if you tap on this little N, the N actually stands for normal, which is its blend mode. And up here, you have the opacity of each blend mode. Normal just means it's the way that it would look without any kind of like filter whatsoever. It's just normal. So we're going to bring this way down so that it just becomes kind of a reference, and we're going to trace off of that. I don't want to trace off of the actual image, but I'm okay with tracing off of my own drawing. I'm also going to get the pencil size a little bit finer, and I'm going to get a little less rough with this and a little bit more precise with how it looks. So kind of looking through all of my scribbles from before and finding the spots that I like the most. And just getting those spots darkened with a little bit of an outline. He's got some little details under here. We can start adding in some of the lighter type of details. I'm going to get to these eyes later, but I still want to rough in where they're going on his face plate. That I'm going to go back to this one so I can see kind of how his body is formed. He's got like a little bean-shaped body. These little sockets and ball joints for his legs. And then the little connector for his upper leg. Let's go back to this one for his upper leg area. So I think it's a pretty decent representation. I guess I can kind of follow along with what this is doing. I don't like the look of it. It just looks like boring plastic as opposed to like his shiny shiny metal body pieces. And his feet look like they're supposed to be like little flames. I don't know. Like this kind of looks like a fingernail or something. Like, it doesn't really look as much like a little flame. I don't necessarily know exactly what it's supposed to be. It's glowing like it's a flame, but I don't know. I think I'm going to try to make it look more like a flame, because I just imagined it being, I think I've always imagined it being more of like a blue flame on the bottom of his foot and not like a weird fingernail. Blue, glowy fingernail. Get his hand shapes in there. See, his hand has these little bits. It's like there's a line that separates the forearm from the hand kind of space of his arm. And then there's this little thing that comes down from that. So we've got this here, and then this would be the little silver plate that goes underneath that. Put this here. Do the same thing on this side. There's where his little hand is. Let's see how that's positioned there. It's a little bit further back. And then the little silver plate. And his little fingers. Like that. Starting to look more Astro Bot-ish. Got his little scarf cape in there. You know, I'm not super excited about the eyes. I think they need to be closer, which this is one of the things that I really like about Procreate. So you can take this tool, select an eye, select a part of your drawing, shift it, move it around, rotate it, change the position, change the size if you want to. And it's best to try to do as much of this stuff in your sketch phase as you can, so that you're not having to go through and mess around with like your actual final drawing. So now I've got a really rough sketch, I've got a lighter sketch, and from here I want to go into some inking. And I'm going to go with my Technical Pen Smooth, which has some stabilization on there if you want to try to like utilize a smooth pen setting that, you know, it works for me. There's a bunch of techniques within all of these tools that I'll kind of go over briefly. I went into them maybe a little bit too much in depth with the last drawing, but I do want to kind of point out some things this time that I wasn't able to the last time, because the last time it was just the iPad screen, so you couldn't see what my hands were doing. But at this point, you can see what I'm doing with my hands. So I can show you a few other things that are helpful when drawing stuff with any of these tools. So I've got a new empty layer, layer 5. I don't name things because I'm terrible. And I've got this, so you can set with any of your tools at any point, if you find a size, this slider off to the side changes the size of your tool. This changes the opacity of your tool. And if there's a size that you really like, when you're on there, you can, how do you do it? you can kind of do it. Do you have to do it with two hands? Oh yeah, I guess you have to do it with two hands. You can add a size, and when you move to it, it just snaps to that size. And now you're drawing in that scale, or that brush size. And there's a couple that I like that when I'm working on certain projects and everything needs to stay consistent, I like to utilize this to make sure that like thinner lines get, you know, this brush size, thicker lines get another brush size, and so on. I'm gonna go ahead and just get rid of that one because I don't really need it. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with this thinner one for now. And I'm gonna keep this guy up for reference. And this is where you're gonna see some of the stuff that was maybe a little bit harder to see in the last one, because you don't really see what my hand is doing in order to get some of these lines to be as straight as they can be. So what I'm doing is I'm following the line as much as I can, and then I'm just holding. And when you hold, it gives you the curve that you made, but it gives it to you as like smooth as possible. Like it just smooths out any kind of like weirdness, any kind of like wobbliness. Actually, I kind of want to redo this. So if you go a little bit too fast, it's gonna just like straighten it out. But if you take your time, go nice and slow, it'll try to stick with the shape that you've drawn as nice as possible. Let me see if I can do this a little bit better so you can see. Wobbly line, hold it, and then it makes it nice and straight. Curve, hold it. I don't really like the placement of that. Curve, hold it. It straightens it all out. Makes it nice and smooth. And I'm going to do a very similar thing with the outside of his helmet. Another thing that I like doing because it just makes life easier is when you're working with like really roundy shapes, really mechanical, hard body but roundy kind of shapes, is to just like overlap lines and just remove what you don't need. Like sometimes that's the answer to getting the kind of line that you want to get, the kind of shape that you're going for, is just to give yourself the line where you want the line, and then do another one that crosses over it and get rid of the excess line work. So this, something like that. And so I've got all of these spots where things are overlapping, and now I can just go through with my eraser and get rid of it. And I am using the same technical pen as my eraser, so that when I do this kind of stuff, I can hopefully have a very similar looking line shape from it. All right, thicken that back up. And I think that's pretty good. Go ahead and do his little antenna. Again, I'm just drawing that curve, holding it, and letting Procreate make it nice and smooth. Yeah, here's another thing. Is, say you want like a nice circle. If you hold it, it will turn it into a circle as best as it can. But if you touch the screen while it's being held, it will make it a perfect circle. So here, I'll do another couple examples off to the side. It actually even says circle up here. So if you draw a circle and let it hold and snap, right now it's like an oval. But if I touch and hold the screen, it snaps it into a circular shape. Same with if you do a square. You try drawing a square. There's my square. It's really kind of wonky looking. But if you tap and hold the screen... Oh, that didn't really work. Let's try this again. That's not how I want to do it. There's my square. Tap and hold. And now I've got like a nice uniform looking square. Square, rectangle. Oh yeah, you can like change all of these things about it. I just want it to be a square. So I'll get rid of those. Oh yeah, you can adjust these things? That's really cool. Oh wow, look at that. I'm learning things. I didn't know you could do this. All right. I'm gonna undo all of that. And go back to the drawing. Yeah, let's do the next thing. I'm just gonna do a little bloop for his neck. And his little bean body. One of the things that I'm doing differently here from what I did the last time, because I don't want to do that again, is I am drawing all of the outlines on the same layer. The last time I did a live Let's Draw, I went over a technique where you separate out all of the outlines for your drawing, so that you can have them all individually shaded to like a darker tone of the fill color. And although I do like that technique and I think it looks really nice and slick, it's kind of like the Disney animation style way to illustrate your characters. It takes so long. And it's usually not the way that I'm illustrating when I'm illustrating. Like when I'm doing something, I am just going for it. And I guess I can kind of show a different technique that I use for coloring in the outlines to be like a darker shade of the fill color, the main like body fill color. Because it's always good to know different ways of doing things. I'll show on this one another way of doing that kind of technique, but I'm not going to do it for the whole image because that's not what I want this one to look like. That doesn't look right. It's probably more like that. And then his other little finger off to the side over there. That's little swoopy shapes everywhere. The rest of his little bean body. Big upper leg. Oh, I guess, I will have to utilize it for his little flame feet. Because I want them to be little flame feet. So I'll utilize that technique there. I'm just going to do that shape, hold it, let it snap into place. And that, another little flame. Man, this guy's coming together really quickly. Oh, I guess I could use it for the cape too. Oops. See, that's one of the things that I wish Procreate could do, is if it saw that I wanted that shape, it just kind of does some random stuff if you hold it. But one of the nice things about the smoothing is you can just go through and do like a really quick shape. It's pretty good. And it's going to smooth it out for you, because it knows that people are not very steady-handed. We drink coffee. See, this is one of the things with illustration that always gets me. I will sit and I will try to get this perfect over and over and over again. It's like playing a level of Astro Bot. You just keep dying and doing it over and over and over again until you get it right. And then at a certain point, I'm gonna give up. Is that good? I don't like it. Just trying to get like an edge of his cape. I'm gonna try it 2 more times. No, I don't like it. Yeah, so now that I've run out of patience, I'm just gonna go ahead and do, oops, just parts of it, let it set, and then connect them, which I should have done in the first place. But you know what? You live, you learn. Okay. I think I'm gonna do the eyes. And I'm not 100% sure what this is gonna look like, but I've kind of got an idea. So I started a new layer for them, and there are some things that Procreate lets you do that I think might end up working for this. So first of all, here, let's get rid of the sketch layers. I'm gonna go to this adjustments, and I'm gonna go to Gaussian blur. I'm gonna blur them out, because they do have a bit of blur. And then I'm going to go to halftone. I'm going to go to screen print. And you can see as I move it around, it changes that blur into a little halftone pattern. You can see up at the top, there's like a little progress bar. It shows how much halftone you want, how large the halftone pattern is going to be. And I do want it kind of small. Maybe something like that. His one eye looks too big. Let's go back. Yeah, this eye looks too big. Shrink it down a little bit. Bring this up a little bit. Bring this out. Maybe bring these in a little bit more. Something like that. Okay. Actually, I'm going to duplicate it. Go to adjustments. Gaussian blur. Because I can see that it's got a little bit of a blur to it, but it also looks kind of solid at the same time. Now I'm gonna, well, let's just select this area and then go to halftone screen print. And it looks like it should be maybe right about there. But the reason that I wanted to select it is it was adding this kind of, like, you can see it, adding this weirdness to everything else. And so I want these so that I can, here, I'll show you. Another positive thing about having your outlines all on the same layer is once all of the outlines are there, you can then use them as a reference layer. And what that does is when you select reference, anything that you put underneath this is now going to, like, you can just use like a paint bucket and fill in all of the shapes of your character. And since there is no paint bucket, the way that you do that is on an empty layer that's right underneath the reference. If you tap up here in the top corner, here, wait, you can't really see it. Up here in the top corner, you've got your color, which opens up a color picker. And you can see the different colors up there. I'm just gonna go with kind of like a dark bluish, blackish. And I'm gonna drop that right there for his face. And it filled in just that section. And I'm gonna go ahead and find a lighter blue for his body. I'm just gonna go ahead and color him all in right now. So like before with the halftone, that little progress bar up across the top, that also works with your color filling. Right now you can see that the threshold is very high, but if I pull the threshold, oops, it just went completely off of the image and onto the reference image. If you pull that threshold down, it makes it so that you can fill in kind of like looser spots. There must have been a gap somewhere where it wanted to fill in the rest of the body instead of just the area that I wanted it to fill in. This needs to be even a little bit tighter. Oh, same with that one. Didn't. Oh yeah, I forgot the little things underneath his face. Even as a reference layer, you can still go through and add more. You're not like locked out of it once it's a reference layer. So he's got these little under bits to his face. If you want to select a color, oh, actually, I don't even know how to do it anymore. Because for me, I've got the Apple Pencil Pro. And so if I squeeze it, the way that I have it set is it turns into a color picker. Oh, I think it's this. Yeah. If you hit this, it brings up a color picker and you can move it around and let go, and now you have that color. So I'm going to go back to this layer. I'm already on it, and drag this into the open spots. Wow, this is a little bit tight, so I'll just fill that in. I'll go with a lighter blue for his flame feet. And his cape. Oops. And then, you need to fill in even whites, but instead of double tapping to get that like true white, I'm going to make it a little bit more gray so that I can see it on the white background. His little hands are white, or his little fingers rather. This thing is white. His face is white. This little antenna thing is white. And then these. Then we'll go with a gray. Maybe a bluish gray. Drop these in to where they need to go. Oops. All right. Oh, and then I'm gonna grab this blue and throw it up there. See, one of the things with the lower threshold though is you can see spots like this where it doesn't get all the way in there. So it's best if you can avoid it. I might have to go back through. I'll just take like a, I don't know, a red. Yeah, you can see here this gray doesn't end up filling in all of this area. Just because the threshold was too low. But it's okay. You can fill in those gaps. It doesn't take that much more time. Gray. Fill in those areas. Having the Apple Pencil Pro is very nice with the whole like squeeze to get your color picker. Makes it a lot easier to move somewhat quickly. Oh yeah, and then this spot up here. Oops. All right, now that I've got them colored in, I don't want this to be a reference anymore. So I'm gonna take that away. But we can get back to the eyes now. So this, I'm gonna make these like the solid part of his eyes, which I guess you can kind of still see, which is nice. I'm gonna make those bright so you can see them. And I'm gonna make it a clipping mask. And in that clipping mask, I'm gonna get a deeper blue and fill it in, merge it down. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm going to make it a clipping mask of the eye shape. And this, well, wait, actually I'm gonna undo that. I'm gonna make a clipping mask of that with the blue, merge that down, make that a clipping, make these eyes a clipping mask. So that way I can take the halftone pattern and I can make it brighter. And you can see his eyes are now starting to do that kind of like halftone pattern. I also want to add a Gaussian blur to the blue eyes to make it look like the halftone pattern has a bit of a fall off to it. And then I might do an add. It looks like his eyes could use even more glow. So I just hit the duplicate button, which is right in the middle. And I'm going to take this other set of eyes that's behind and add more blur to it to make it a little bit more glowy. And I'll add an add to that and an add to that. These are the different kinds of filters that you can use, and you can still adjust the opacity of them. You can adjust so many things to get the look that you're going for. And I think that kind of hit it. Did a pretty good job. And so, oh yeah, now, what time is it? I've got like 10-15 more minutes. So I'm going to do the other kind of like outline technique. When you want your outlines to be a different color. Oh yeah, let's switch this back to white. When you want the outlines to be a different color, just like with the fill color in like the eye part, I added a blank layer above the outlines, and I'm going to click that, go into clipping mask mode. So now anything that happens within that layer is going to be masked within the outlines themselves. So now I can go to this blue, grab this color blue, make a darker version of that color and then paint into the clipping mask. And so now I've got just that part of the outline is that darker blue. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. And then here I'm going to do something a little bit different because there's so much more of it. I'm just doing this section here. Then I'm doing this section down here. So that separates it from the body and the arm. Then there's this area here. I got a little bit into the finger. So you see this, and this are the areas where it was like connecting to the other parts of the body. And if you look at, well, it's kind of hard to see it. Sorry. So these three sections, if we connect them now, and you can't really see it, but you know what's happening there. You just laid down those lines. Draw, connect from one spot to the next, and then draw around that shape. And now you can just drag that color and fill the whole thing in. Just like that. Now, within the fill layer, layer 8, I'm going to add another blank layer and do a clipping mask of that for highlights and shadows. And for highlights and shadows, I like to just use white and black with an add on my white. I'm going to go into airbrush with a soft brush. And I like to just kind of change the size, like however I need to change the size. You can see, I'm going to change this to airbrush too. And I'm going to move the opacity down a little bit. A little bit goes a really long way. So the more gentle you are, the better the result you're going to kind of get from it. I want to add this, this kind of like undertone to here. Like that. And then I've still got my blur tool. Hello everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the compliments. I'm going to use my blur tool. Kind of move this highlight around a little bit. And I got some on his arm and I don't want it there because I'm not ready for it to be there yet. But I do want some on his face. Right there. Oops. That. Now I'm going to do the same thing but with shadow. So I'm going to go to black. And what I like to do with the shadow is I like to just go full strength and then bring that opacity down until it's at the spot that I want it to be. And just go through, find all of the kind of under bits that need to get filled in with shadow. I can still see some highlight happening in his arm right there, and I don't want that right there. into this area. Bring this down a little bit. Because all the chrome spots are going to need a little bit slighter, a little slightly different technique as far as like how they're going to get shaded in and highlighted. Just to add that kind of chrome look. But I think I'm going to get to that last. After I get the rest of him all shaded in. As far as shading goes, a lot of times it's really good to like look at reference for how shadows are going to be working on whatever subject you're drawing. Obviously, if you're working on something that is right in front of you, like a still life kind of thing, you know, clearly you're going to be using the actual shadows from it. But when you're just adding the shadows that you believe should be there, it really does take kind of a level of imagination of trying to see the shape, the density, where the light is hitting the object, where the fall off of the light is happening on the object, to get a look that gives your character and your shapes some dimension. And I wouldn't say that I'm like the best at shading, but I've got a fair amount of experience with working with shadows and highlights and art in general. So now that I've got my shadows in, I'm going to go back to my highlights. And I'm going to take this lighter blue tone. And I'm going to go back to my inking. Let's go back to my technical pen smooth. And I'm going to add these blue tones in there. Because his scarf thing is kind of glowy and he's metallic. So it would make sense that you would see these really bright highlights. He's also going to have highlights on chrome from his glowy feet. There. There. As such. And underneath his helmet. And this is all stuff that you can see in this reference image. You can see like how his cape is kind of reflected off of this stuff. But now for the chrome, I'm going to want to do one more add layer. I'm going to do clipping mask, and that just adds it to the stack of layers that are being clipped into the fill layer. And I'm going to add a big bright highlight. I'm going to make that an add. And it just needs a little bit of extra shininess. which means kind of a highlight in the middle. It's going to get some extra love to make it look more chromy. I don't really know how to explain it. There's usually a central highlight in Chrome, or a way that you can make something look more like Chrome is giving it a big bright highlight right in the center of it, because it's this reflective material, and it just kind of gives it the look of it sitting in like a studio lit setting. And then I think I want to do one more. And another way to get your layers to just be already a part of that clipping mask is, instead of adding the layer to the top, add it to the next layer down, and it's already got the clipping mask setting set, and then you can tap and hold and arrange it however you want. I'm just going to put it on top. This is going to be for like white highlights in the Chrome, just to give it a little extra touch, a little extra something, make it look even more chromy. Oh, I forgot this part. Do that there and that. So there's all of his chromy bits. What else? Oh yeah. On this, I do kind of want to give these sections some of that edge highlight. Just a little bit. You know what? Maybe I'll make this an add and bring it down. And then blend it. Blend it in a little bit. Add that there too, just to make this little panel look like it stands out a little bit. And it's got kind of a highlight in the center, so I can add that, scribble that in, and just kind of blend it into that space. Give him the highlight on his little knee joints. All right, and it's basically an Astro Bot. And it's kind of how I wanted him to look. I'm going to go ahead and throw... I'm going to move him all into one group by selecting all of his layers, hitting the little group button up top, and you can close that. I'm going to add a new layer that's just like a dark blue. Throw that in there. To a brighter blue behind it. Give him more of a spacey look. And then with a lighter blue, where is it? Luminance, Shimmer, Industrial, Spray Paints. So there are some like preset spray paint settings, and I like using the flicks to kind of give it kind of like a starry background. It's a little bit too much. Is it this one? Flat nozzle? Go back to the darker blue. It's like spray paint, but kind of gives it a spacey look. And then I can go to my flicks. And in inking, you can also just tap around just to give it some finishing touches. Make them look all spacey. All right, so there's my Astro Bot. That's exactly how I wanted him to look. So yeah, with that, I need to end the stream, but I hope that this drawing process ended up helping with maybe some of the processes that you're taking if you're going through and learning how to use Procreate, or even if you're drawing on paper with pencil or pen and you just want to get some ideas of like how to get started and like where to go and like how you can take multiple pieces of references and come up with something for yourself. I hope that this could come in handy for you. I do plan on doing more Let's Draws, and I am totally open to taking suggestions. So if you have any ideas, please feel free to leave a comment. The live stream will be up on my channel, so you can leave a comment at any point or leave a comment on any other video if you have any suggestions. And yeah, I also am planning on working on oh wait a second, sorry. Another video, I have a video coming up about box art, video game box art, cartridge game art, and what is going on with that right now and my thoughts on it. So once I get that up, hopefully you will be around, stick around, watch it, and let me know your thoughts on that as well. And yeah, I hope that you are having a great weekend. I really, again, appreciate always you taking the time to watch. I appreciate the people that were in here with me for this live stream. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And everybody else that watches this after the fact, thank you for taking the time. And yeah, subscribe if you are interested in more design-focused gaming content. Thank you so much.